Hey guys, welcome back to a 1v1 podcast. I'm your host Vlhadus, and I am so excited to be joined by the one and the only WolfheartFPS. Dude, it is such an honor to have you on my 1v1. Seriously.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I've watched a few videos on your channel, and I'm excited to see where you take it from here. So great to be a part of it.
That's really nice to hear, dude. Honestly, and I feel like I'm not like a WolfPack member yet, but like I found your channel because of Ashes of Creation. I started my entree into the whole YouTube content creator thing in January of this year, and so for me, I just wanted to gobble every single bit of Ashes content creators and see who's making content. And I know you do like Baldur's Gate, you do like multitude of other, like you're playing Elden Ring right now, but you are very much into the Ashes community as well, and there was some stuff even in Alpha 1 when even Asmongold was testing, and then you were also given a flying mount to play around with. I thought that was like really freaking cool that Steven just like, here's a flying mount, go fly.
yeah, he did. He gave it to a lot of us lined up at the end, so it wasn't anything special towards me. I wish it was, but it wasn't. But
no, it was,
I got into this huge line filled with people. It was so cool, and we all waited for Toast. I don't think she works there anymore. Maybe she does. Do you know if Toast?
She's okay. Not, no.
And Toast handed out mounts to us individually. It was really cool. So
well, that's awesome, man. Well, so let me just kind of break it down a little bit to like what we do here at 1v1, right? So I guess my whole aspiration and goal for this podcast is to get to know the creator, right? So people get to know the creator because of their content or the quality of their content, the informational side of the creator, right? How well they detail their outlines or their scripts or their enjoyment factor of their personality. But I guess my whole goal with this particular podcast is to get to know them as a gamer. You know what I mean? Like what really makes them tick. So I guess my first question to you, Wolf, is like, how did you start your gaming career? Like your gaming journey in general?
Yeah, I mean, I've been gaming for most of my life, and I would imagine that most people you talk to probably say that too.
Oh, for sure.
Anything fantasy, medieval, I'm always geeking and nerding about. So that brings me into all sorts of categories within the gaming world: RPGs, MMOs, CRPGs like Baldur's Gate, like you mentioned. Anything that's got swords and dragons, you can count me in. And that's kind of where I got my start and my interest in that genre of games. I've played a lot of FPS games throughout my life, as you can see in my channel's name. People don't quite understand that because I don't cover FPS games, but so I've had a passion for gaming for my entire life, and kind of got to a spot where I was kind of not feeling satisfied with my life, and my gaming time started to dwindle away a little bit. The older that you get, the more responsibilities that you get. For sure. And I kind of realized that the only way that I'm going to get the quality gaming time that I need in with the way that I live my life is to maybe try to turn it into a job. So
no, for sure. I mean, it's kind of funny how you mentioned that. I'm actually getting married this year in August.
Hey, so, congratulations.
Thanks, man. Like it's been a trip, man. Just these last, from my age of 30 to 35, how my life has completely changed.
Yes.
And so, now I'm like, a dad, gonna be a husband, there's just a lot of different transitions. But I guess going back into I just want to talk a little about the FPS part, because I was a huge, and I'm speaking huge, Halo person.
Halo, I was gonna say it before you said it.
Oh my god, dude, that was my game, bro. Like I played so much Halo back in high school. Like I was Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. I was actually an MGL player, or Major League Gaming. I was a part of that. We did a lot of tournaments.
Man, I haven't heard that name in a while. Dude, that's awesome. Yeah.
I did a lot of that stuff. There was a lot of tournaments because I live here in Texas. So Corpus Christi, really cool. Victoria, Houston, San Antonio. I mean, like I did all that stuff, and I was a pretty damn good. I was more into Halo 2 when it came to the Major League Gaming. I sort of stepped away from that once Halo 3 came out, but man, like Halo's always been a very fun spot of my heart. And it was because of, did you do any LAN parties like at your house or going
yeah, man,
dude, wasn't that
plenty
so
of fist fights, plenty of fist fights from screen looking at your friend. Those were the days, man. And speaking of that, that kind of makes me think about the old school days of the MMO times. I don't really enjoy FPS games as much as I did back then, and it's usually the same way with MMOs.
Oh, I know. Like, so there used to be these these house parties we'd go to for Halo, and we used to all bring our TVs, our Xboxes, you know, set up the router and stuff. And,
it's nostalgic.
Dude, I know. And so we would literally, like, on one side of the house would be like our 4v4 team, and then the other side of the house we would have another 4v4 team. We're, you know, battling against each other. And every time the match ended and someone won or someone lost, whatever the case was, right, we'd go in the living room, which is the middle, and it'd be like, what happened? You know, it was, but I just love that because, again, it was like the community. It was playing with your friends.
Yes.
It was that whole thing. And I think, again, that's sort of what really excited me about playing MMOs. You know, so I guess my first question to you is, like, what was your first MMO experience or your first game that you played?
My first real MMO experience was vanilla World of Warcraft. I might have played some games before that. It's so long ago that I can't remember. I played RuneScape, Risk Your Life, and a few others. But I can't remember if it was before or after World of Warcraft. But World of Warcraft was my first real MMO experience that I spent countless days in game time. Maybe over 100 actually is not that much for most MMO players, but it sounds like a lot. So yeah, World of Warcraft for sure. Awesome. How about yourself?
WoW as well. So, like, really, I guess my first experience was Final Fantasy 11. I played that for 3 months and then quit because I went from level 30 to level 26 in 2 hours.
Is that the same Final Fantasy that's still around right now?
No, so
that's a separate MMO.
Yes. So back in the day, there was Final Fantasy 11, and that was their first forte into the MMO space. And then
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then now it's 14. So Final Fantasy 14 is the second MMO that they've done. But 11 was definitely hardcore. There was not only XP debt, there was de-leveling involved. It's not the fact that you lost gear on death or anything like, or at least I don't remember, but it was just a very demoralizing experience for a complete noob like myself, right? You know, and trusting people, and you know what that got me, right? But I guess, you know, how did you hear about World of Warcraft? Was it just a couple of friends that said, hey, I'm playing this new game? Or did you just see the commercial and was like, I got to try that?
Did they have TV commercials for World of Warcraft?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
God, it's so long ago. I don't even remember.
That was Mr. T, dude. You remember Mr.
T? Oh, yeah, I do actually. Yeah. I remember. I don't remember how I heard about it initially. It was probably from one of my friends. I had a gaming specific friend group that knew all of that stuff. I remember I actually tried running it initially on my mother's computer.
Right.
And it wouldn't run at all. So I spent like my first $100, which was a huge amount of money at that time because I was an early teen or mid-teen at that time. And I got a new graphics card just to play World of Warcraft. And God, it's a memory that I'll never forget. Before pre-Burning Crusade, World of Warcraft is an experience. It might be my top gaming experience of all time. And it's kind of sad that I don't really play MMOs that much anymore. But
well, I mean, the thing is that I feel the MMO genre has lost its community base in a sense, right? Like if you're not in raids or anything like competitive, right? There's no need a community. You can do everything by yourself. Back in the day, you couldn't. Hell, even the leveling experience in vanilla wasn't something that you could do completely by yourself. There was some quests that you needed people for. There was a lot of reminders that you needed others, you know, and in today's MMOs, there's just no reminders anymore unless you're literally like doing raiding, you know, and that's basically it.
Yeah, everything seems to be about convenience now, and every year that goes on, every game becomes more and more convenient. Right. And it sounds good, surface value, but I think it takes away a lot from the experience. I remember playing World of Warcraft, vanilla WoW, and finding like this little, I don't know if it was an open world dungeon, and I actually had to go around and find players and talk to them to have them help me do it. It wasn't as simple as just, I support matchmaking in a lot of games, but it wasn't as simple as just hitting a button, then you get paired up with some random person with no microphone or whatever. I had to talk to people. And even though it might be a little frustrating because you can't do the dungeon immediately when you want to, I formed relationships, and these are relationships, some of them that lasted for my entire however many years that I played World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't dislike my 16-year journey from WoW, right? Like it's an experience that I could, you know, never, you know, I can probably never repeat, but I mean, at the same time, I don't regret, right? Like, I mean, I met some amazing people. I still am friends with them today. It's just the game itself, right? The reason why I quit WoW and I quit last year in July. This was at the pinnacle of the.
So you played since vanilla up to last year, like fairly consistently, kind of?
No, I took maybe 2 breaks in my whole 16 years. Like, and those breaks were maybe a couple of months, and usually those were like the lull periods. But yeah, I played every expansion, every patch. Like, I never really took a break. So
you saw all of the changes and everything.
Oh yeah.
You were
Oh yeah.
I was out of the loop for all that, but
yeah, no, for sure. And it was just, but again, even seeing like the games that were coming out in like 2010, 2012, like you have like Rift, Star Wars The Old Republic, you had WildStar, you had Terra, you had all these games, and basically they were just trying to be WoW, right? You know, and I feel like nowadays in 2022, there's no reason to have like a group finder or anything like that. With Discord, even just Discord alone being a thing, there's so many ways and avenues for you to meet people that you don't need this random matchmaking thing in a game. Like, just go out and meet people, you know, like, and that was the thing about vanilla WoW that was so magical, was if you were out, you know, in the Barrens and you saw someone doing the same quest as you would be like, hey, you want to group up and do this quest together or whatever. That's
you had to talk to them, and you had to feel them out and see what type of person they are.
For sure. It's like, but there's no reason to do that now. Even in the new Classic, right, that just launched, right, the relaunching of Classic World of Warcraft. Like, I don't even know if people really do that in that game, right? Because people are so much smarter now. They're so much efficient. There's so much min-maxing involved that it's still like, you know, you just need it for raiding, like, and that's it. And so, you know, going into Ashes of Creation, right? I guess my first question I want to ask you is, how did you hear about the project? Was it from the Kickstarter? Was it from the Lazy Peon video? Like, how did you hear about it?
Yeah, I think I stumbled across a random video and then came across, I think, Lazy Peon's first video on it. Obviously, anytime he does a video, they get a ton of views, so a lot of us come across them. Yeah, and I just I started looking into it a little bit. Anytime I see a new MMO, I'm interested initially. It usually doesn't last long once I see that they have a robust cash shop or anything like that. And yeah, hearing Lazy Peon talk about it and then doing a little bit more research and hearing Steven talk about the game, probably one of the biggest reasons why I started latching onto it and following it.
Yeah, so for myself, it was July of 2020 that I heard about it, because that was the launch of the Lazy Peon video. But I watch Asmongold all the time. Like, there's only a couple of streamers that I actually watch, but he's one that I love watching. And it was so crazy in that live stream in July, because not only did he look at the Lazy Peon video, but Steven on Twitter noticed he was watching that video and tweeted him and said, hey, if you want to talk to me after you're done watching that video so I can go in and explain a little bit more, I can do that. And
I remember that.
And this was also him driving to Las Vegas, I believe. Like, he was literally driving.
I remember that.
And I just, for me, coming from World of Warcraft, where the developers are so like scared to talk to any creator from the game, because they know that they're going to be lambasted with a lot of criticism, which rightfully so they should be. Steven was just so ready just to talk and be like, yeah, let's I'm so excited you're watching that video. I want to talk to you about it. Let's do it, like, right now. And I was just like, holy crap. So not only did I get to watch the amazing Lazy Peon video, but then after that, we got to talk to Steven for like an hour and some.
Right. And I think he also talked to Tim the Tapman and maybe a few other very large streamers.
So after that conversation, he went on this spree of talking to like all these major content creators. So he talked to Tim the Tapman. He talked to Shroud and Summit G1.
Yes.
Who else did he talk to? I feel like he talked to one other person. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, and sorry if whoever I forgot. But even though he was out there, and it was so funny because Tim the Tapman, you know, you're WolfheartFPS, right? I thought he was only interested in like Warzone games or whatever, but it was so refreshing for Tim to be so excited about like a game.
Same with Shroud too. Yeah, you think of him as an FPS player. Yeah,
right. It was just like, man, I don't know, and that's why I feel there's something really special for Ashes, and I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, right? Because a lot of games like Lost Ark right now that's out, World of Warcraft, plenty of games follow this model of pay to win. And for Steven to come out and outright say, I quit the game that I love because of microtransactions and pay to win, I was like, okay, I'm sold. Like, I you know, for a person to turn away that kind of money. I mean, and I know he was a pretty wealthy dude. You know, he spent a lot of money, his own money, trying to make Ashes of Creation.
Yep.
But to say no more microtransactions, no pay to win, holy crap, man! And just to say,
well, there will be a cosmetic cash shop, but
no, for sure.
I know, yeah, just for the viewer, just speaking on that.
Yeah. I mean, and so I think when I think of microtransactions personally, I think of like very atrocious like things. You know, I'm totally fine with cosmetics, by the way. Like, I know some people are very against cosmetic cash shops. But here's my thing. So here's my thing, right?
I'm not very against it. I just prefer it not to be in the game. But
so have you ever looked at the Final Fantasy 14 cash shop?
Not really. I only played it for a little bit, so no.
So let me explain to you why I love their cosmetic cash shop.
Love to hear it.
Most people that are upset for cosmetic cash shops is because they put the flaming skeleton shoulder helm set in the cash shop for $25 or $30, and it's this epic looking set that you would probably get from a raid or a dungeon or a really exclusive boss or whatever the case is, right? In Final Fantasy 14's cash shop, they know that a lot of people that purchase items in the cash shop are casual players.
Right.
So what they tailor their cash shop for is for casual players, not hardcore raiders. So they put like t-shirts, like I'm not even joking, like a white t-shirt, sandals, shorts, sunglasses, like stuff a raider would never even want to wear. That's what they put in their cash shop.
Okay.
And so I'm totally fine with that because again, companies have to make money. And I know just being supported on just a $15 a month for certain ambitious games, especially one as Ashes of Creation, isn't going to cut it, you know, especially if they want to grow, if they want to make future content, if they want it to be, especially at a content cadence that we as players are comfortable with, you know, having more money at their disposal is always good. The thing that always made me upset was these companies that were making almost billions of dollars never invested that back into the game.
Right.
Like even WoW at its height, when they had 12 million players, like they were still pumping out the same kind of content that was in any other expansion. You know what I'm saying?
I totally understand that. The reason why I don't like cosmetic cash shops is just because the point you brought up with Final Fantasy is something that I'll have to consider with the players that really care about the game, the hardcore players. It's not affecting them at all. I value visual progression so much. And I also think there's something beautiful and pure about everybody being placed in a game on equal terms, no matter what, as long as you can pay the base price or the monthly subscription. There's just something so beautiful about that. But you brought up the Final Fantasy point, and I'd have to think on that a little bit more. I understand the funding side of it and everything. Just in a perfect world, I think I prefer no cash shops at all. But I understand what you're talking about.
No, right. I mean, and again, like I think it would be very much of an ask for Steven to say, well, we don't want a cosmetic cash shop either, but we want to charge you $30 a month to play our game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
WoW was $15 a month when I was a teenager. So that 15 nowadays, would have to be much higher. So I completely understand that. I think it's sad though that me and you are so excited for Ashes of Creation because it doesn't have a pay-to-win cash shop. Like that's what gets me excited now. Well, there's many other reasons for Ashes, but it's sad that we've gone that way because you're right. You're missing out on even the games that suck that have the pay-to-win cash shops that we say they suck, they make so much money. It's ridiculous. So when it comes down to it, when it comes to a corporate level, those people don't care. They're making the money. The players aren't satisfied, but they're making the money, and it's just I don't know. It's not good for the player experience, but
no, and you're totally right. And I think it's one of those things that I'm super glad Steven, you know, again, and he's a gamer first. And that's the one other huge reason why I love Ashes of Creation, why I support him, is because there's so many developers that are developer first and gamer second. And I feel with him, it's the reverse. Because again, this is a game he really, really wants to play. Like he gave up his main game to then make this one. So it's not like he's going to make this one and then just be a developer.
Did you have any idea what he was doing before this? I don't even know.
So I think from what I knew, his job was in real estate, right? So that's what he did. But his main game for like the longest time was Lineage 2. And that's where the majority of his background came from. I think he also played ArcAge as well. But the two main games he probably played was Lineage #1 and ArcAge #2. I mean, he did dabble into other games from what he said. He played a little bit of WoW, but he didn't like it because he doesn't like faction-based MMOs.
Oh yeah, I remember him saying that. Okay.
Right. So, I mean, I think in a nutshell, right? Well, let me ask you, why do you believe in this project? because this was also around the same time Chronicles of Valeria was crowdfunded on Kickstarter. It was like 2016, 2017, and it was like a lot of people really loving that project and the vision, I guess, of that game was compared to Ashes. So I guess for you, like, what was it about it? Was it just the non-pay to win model that they were going to go with, or was it something a little bit more?
No, I mean, the non-pay to win model was a big part, but Steven explaining this game initially before we even had Alpha 1 and stuff gave me the impression that he's making this game for a specific set of players and gamers as opposed to trying to appeal to every single MMO player out there. And that just got me super interested. And I just, the things he talks about, I happen to be one of those players that I think would align with the way that he views his MMO. I think when an MMO tries to appeal to the masses, everything ends up being okay instead of fantastic, and therefore you have experiences like New World where everybody plays it initially, but most people don't last that long. That was one of the main reasons why I latched onto Ashes. Thinking of games like Elden Ring, the Souls games are not for everyone, but the players that they are for, it's an experience unlike anything else, and I think Ashes of Creation kind of falls into that category.
So it's like almost wanting to invent the Elden Ring of MMOs, right? The game that basically, like, it's not going to be for everyone, because I know a lot of my friends, as soon as I mention like you can't toggle on or off the PvP, they're like, oh
yes,
I wanna put me in my little box. I don't want to be messed with, and I think I don't like the at least wanting to give it a try, because I think a lot of my friends also come from World of Warcraft, right? And there wasn't a kind of corruption system that Ashes is going to have in World of Warcraft. If you want to grief somebody in WoW, you can do so all day, every day with absolutely no consequences.
Did you play on a PvP server on WoW?
I did. Okay. I played, for my early career of my noobish self, I played on Altar of Storms, which was a PvP server, and I did not even know that there was a difference in PvP or PvE. Me either.
Had no idea what I was choosing. No idea.
My friend was playing on that server. He's like, hey, come play on my server. I was like, okay. So I went on that server, went to go play, and Stranglethorn Vale, I was like level 30 something playing Stranglethorn Vale, getting ganked by druids and rogues all day.
You remember the arena in Stranglethorn Vale?
Oh my god, the Garabashi arena. Dude,
when they first came out with it.
I remember going in there for the first time, like, oh my god, there's a chest there. I go in there, I try to go in the chest, and this stupid Pharaoh Druid was on top of the chest and just like one-shot me, and I was just like,
so in PvP, WoW it's toggled on at all times? I played on a PvE without knowing, so I'm curious how that worked.
So if you were on a PvP server back in the day, there really wasn't a toggle on and off. Like you were just always if you were in a contested area, like you were going to run into the opposite faction. They could kill you. And
there was some non-contested areas though, too.
Right, there were.
Okay. Right.
But I believe that even in the non-contested areas, you can still kill somebody. Because there would be like a alliance going into Orgrimmar, or people, the Horde would go into Stormwind and just like stealth in and kill somebody and then try to stealth out and leave. But the thing was there was no penalty for killing somebody. So a lot of WoW players, when they think of, oh, well, you can't toggle on or off PvP, they immediately think, I'm going to be griefed endlessly in this game and I'm going to have a bad time. But that's not really the case. I mean, again, with the corruption system, it still needs to be tested, right? Alpha 2 is going to test a whole bunch of things. But I believe the corruption system, in my opinion, I think is a little too potent. I think it's a little too strong, where people might not want to PvP. And what I think might end up happening is that a player will attack someone, and if they're not attacking back, they're going to be like, all right, I'm just messing around. Like, I won't kill you. Because they don't want to become corrupted. Because again, there's a lot of huge penalties with being corrupted. But I guess for you, because you say do you like the hardcore nature of MMOs?
I do. Yep. I played World of Warcraft on a PvE server, but I love PvP in any game, and I'm perfectly fine with more hardcore PvP games. But I also have experienced griefing before, and I also had to have some people like recently tell me, like, even with the Ashes system, I agree. I'm very excited to see how it turns out, but I've had many people come up to me and be like, just remember, players will amaze you. Even when you think a system's perfect, they're going to find some way around it. So I'm very curious to see how it works in the Alpha 2. I'm with you though. It seems like a really good system. I'm hoping that if anything, it's a little bit too punishing, like you said, at first, and then they can tone that back as opposed to it being the other way, because you're going to get a bunch of bad press if griefing happens all the time in the alpha too.
Well, I mean, so how do you feel as like a streamer, right? So if you have the WolfPack on your server, right, and it's you and it's all your boys protecting you at all times, I mean, I think that, because I watch Asmongold play like the new classic WoW, and he had all of his people like, you know, it's an exhilarating experience, especially when you're the one orchestrating that all yourself, you know? So in Ashes, like, do you feel like, I mean, I know you definitely have an advantage for grouping, right? Because you're going to have people that are going to want to group up with you and do quests with you or even protect you. But I mean, in this game, you know, there definitely can be spies, and there could be people like...
disadvantage. I'm thinking of it as a disadvantage.
It is a disadvantage. So how do you feel about that from a streaming angle?
I've never actually streamed an MMO longer than like a month or so. I played New World for a while. So honestly, I have no idea. I'm a little bit hesitant about it and worried about it ruining my experience, because I'm going to have to stream it. I don't have much time in my off time to play games offline. So I will be streaming it. Very curious to see how that turns out. Currently, I'm thinking of it as a disadvantage in a game like Ashes. Maybe I can put my stream on like a 20-minute delay. I don't know, man. I don't know. I
think that's the thing that we gotta kind of have figured out, because, you know, in Alpha 2, like, I'm very excited because I think there's going to be tons, like absolutely tons of content that could literally come from like the caravan system, the guild wars system, the castle siege system, the node wars system. I mean, just even the naval system. I mean, there's so many things. And I think for you specifically, like, you have so many advantages because you have a group ready to go at your beck and call to do content with. And again, I feel like that's why I'm not saying I wanted to be a content creator, but I feel like playing with people, especially in a game where you aren't special, you're not going to be able to do everything all by yourself. I think that's just very exciting, because a lot of games are just so watered down. Like, they're just so boring. The open worldness of it, the exploration part of it. I mean, look at New World. Everything felt like carbon copies. Like, if you almost felt like you visited this area before, because it was literally the same building you've experienced. Like,
same enemies too.
Yes, same enemies.
Same find the chest and kill the skeleton quest over and over in every area.
It was just this carbon copy. And again, I know New World's probably a very bad example, but again, in other games, like even in Lost Ark, right? There's just a lot of times where you just play by yourself with not a lot of reasons to group up with others. And I feel like as long as Ashes of Creation can incentivize group play, and not just the fact that you need others to actually complete it, but actually incentivize the group itself. Like, that's what I feel like is missing, is that there's this, if you can't do it by yourself, you should be rewarded this, but if you get it with a group, you should be rewarded with that. So that's like almost these two different things, you know what I'm saying? And
this is something like this is something that, again, kind of puts Ashes in a category where not everybody's going to like it, because there's a lot of people out there that like you said, mainly probably more casual players that only play for 4 hours a week, that maybe want a solo experience. So I'm fine with all those other MMOs being out there, but requiring social dynamics in a game is such a beautiful thing, and me and you know it from our experience from playing MMOs back in the day. I'm excited for that aspect of the game, just like you are. Very excited.
Okay. And so I guess out of all the features in Ashes of Creation, what is your most excited feature? Like, what feature do you want to test out the most?
Oh God, man, there's so many of them. The naval system, the nodes, the mounts. Well, I'll say the node system to start off, because it's obviously something that separates Ashes from many other MMOs. The ever-changing world is very, very interesting. There's some people that are worried about it, because I've heard some feedback where players say, well, I don't want to be part of a node and build up a house and all of this, then have it destroyed. But I'm excited for that, because I think as long as node sieges are not something that's easy to do, and they're really massive events, which I think they're going to be from the way that Steven's talking about it, I think it's okay. Because if the game starts getting a little bit stale, and then all of a sudden you find out like 4 months later that your node is under siege, and then you lose that land, like, you're coming back and you're pumped up and you're a part of the world and you want revenge. You want to see what guilds were behind it. Like, it's such a cool system. Are you excited for the node system? I'll imagine yes.
Oh my God, dude. So that was the main thing. Like, I was like watching the Lazy Peon video, just like, Like my mind was
Yeah.
blown because I didn't even know a dynamic world building game or even an MMO could even be feasible for a team to do. And what was so funny was that when Steven talks about it, he's like, the node system, people think it's like this very complex thing, but it's actually not. It's actually like one of the tech has been there. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, you know, but yes, the node system on paper looks utterly amazing. The fact that there's going to be 6 tiers of like, whether it's wilderness, village, city, metropolis, I can't remember all of them, but you get my drift. And the fact that if everybody in that node region contributes, and the majority of that region's race that contributed to that XP was Elven, then that village will now have Elven architecture. I think that's cool. Badass. Because
that's so cool.
Because even you, Wolf, right? Like if you have the WolfPack on one server, but then there's another server that has like a WolfPack fan club, and they're like, hey, Wolf, come check out our server. You'll literally go into that other server and it's going to be completely different than your own.
Completely different.
And I just
totally different world. Yep.
Yeah. And you're going to have freeholds that you've never seen before, different node structures that are going to have different architecture, different things, like, I just find that to be so fascinating, even from a streamer's perspective, because you could literally just one day decide, I'm going to go in, like, let's say we're 1 year into Ashes of Creation's launch, and you say, hey guys, today's on stream. I just want to go and visit every server. I want to make a tune on every server and just see what each server looks like. That can be an all-day stream content of just like, seriously, and it would be fun. It would be engaging. And
yeah, you could be on one server and it's like a naval focused server with all these pirates guilds, and you go to another one and it's all the elves have taken over the entire map. And
and that's the thing too, is like,
elves.
Have you seen the guild creation that's becoming from Ashes? Like the fact that there's going to be like Robin Hood guilds, the fact there's going to be lumberjack guilds, like very specific niche guilds that are being orchestrated and created because Steven, for one, is giving us the keys to the castle this time. Like a lot of developers have the keys and the developers were just kind of roaming in the house. But now we have the keys to this castle and we can actually make our own kind of content because he's making every single system in the game player driven and player focused.
Player agency is huge on my channel because I play a lot of CRPGs and RPGs where the story outcome can go a million different ways.
Right.
And I'm seeing that with Ashes of Creation. And it's really cool to see a developer allow that in their game because, like you said, one server is going to experience one type of content, but they're also missing out on like 90% of the other content.
Right.
Excuse me. And the willingness of a developer to allow that instead of just give players all of the content because they want everybody to be interested is super cool. And I think it adds to the replayability and longevity, especially of an MMO. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and I really appreciate the fact that you said that because it kind of made me think of something completely off subject, but still about Ashes. How do you feel about the combat system? Because the combat system in general, like, this whole hybrid system, I guess my first question to you is, are you an action guy or are you a tab target guy?
Oh, it's such a tough question because honestly, I'm both, but I feel like I would lean towards tab.
Right.
I feel like it's a more successful, proven system.
Right.
Even though some people might think it's boring. But I like the idea of the hybrid. I'm curious to see how it plays out. We didn't get to see much of it in the Alpha 1 when I was playing, because it's not fleshed out yet. So hopefully we'll see in the Alpha 2. I think I'd lean towards tab, but I want a perfect action system at the same time because it is more engaging. That's such a tough question. Well, what do you think? What do you think on that?
So I'm kind of torn myself because by having a hybrid system, if you are a tab player and you're fighting mobs or whatever the case is, and you have an action warrior, like I feel the action warrior is going to have way more advantage because every single one of his abilities are going to hit everything while the tab player has to singly target, one between the other. Does that make sense?
Oh, you mean in terms of like sword swings and stuff?
Right.
Or
because if you're in an action-based game, one sword swipe is going to swipe every monster in that thing. While if it was tab, whatever monster you have selected is going to get the sword swing while all the other ones are not going to get affected.
But at the same time, you don't have to aim as the tab player.
Well, I mean, that's very true. But I mean, I don't know. I guess this for me, I've been playing a lot of Lost Ark recently, and I've always been a fan of like ARPGs like Diablo or Path of Exile. And I feel like for the, isometric style, I'm fine with action. But when it comes to the like World of Warcraft style, like the third person, like, or New World or World of Warcraft, Star Wars: The Old Republic, I feel way more comfortable with tab because I'm not just a DPS player. I'm also a healer. I love healing, and I cannot wrap my head around healing in an action-based system. That's my thing.
Yeah, New World did it to an extent.
Not very good. And every time I saw the healing, it looked like a mess. It looked like, if I was that healer, I would always feel like, like trying to heal is like, it just looked like no bueno.
Yeah, it's a really tough subject, and I hope that Intrepid gets it down with whatever they go with. Another thing with action combat is you got to worry about latency a little bit and other things like that with tab targeting. That kind of goes, you still have to worry about it, but it's not as much of a factor. If you're shooting a bow and arrow, or if you're shooting a bow in an action combat game on a world with 500 players in one area, is it even possible?
Exactly.
Probably, but it just, there's so many pluses and minuses to both sides. So
and that's the thing, right? Like I'm not trying to advocate for a tab system, and everyone tries to advocate for this Guild Wars 2. I don't know if you've ever played Guild Wars 2.
I didn't play much of it, but I've heard people talk about it too when talking about hybrid.
I've been playing Guild Wars 2, and now mind you, just before Guild Wars people get on me or anything like that, I've literally only played for 30-45 minutes. Like I'm level 7,
Oh, did you just start playing with the expansion?
No. Well, so I did start playing recently, but not because of the expansion, just because on my 2 1v1s ago, I talked to my boy Ludo, and he's a huge Guild Wars 2 person, and he was talking really adamantly about the combat system in Guild Wars 2 and says that how good it is. And I was like, he's like, you should just try out the game and see how you like it. Like, and so the one thing I did like about the system itself is I love the instantaneousness of it, but to me it feels more like a tab enhanced game, because there are abilities that are AoE and then there are abilities that are single target. So I guess for myself, like that's sort of the direction that I really want Ashes to go in.
I think it's going that way after playing the Alpha 1 and listening.
Yeah,
to Steven.
And again, like Steven even said, and this was back in the day, this is like 2018, I remember this specifically, and there's been Discord clippings of people saving it and stuff. If the hybrid system ends up not working out, they will fall back to tab, because Steven himself is a tab player. Lineage 2 is a tab game. Arcade is a tab game. It to me, it's like, it was kind of weird the fact that he actually wanted his game to be a hybrid. Because
does World of Warcraft have any action combat? I don't remember. I remember it being only tab when I played. No, from what I remember,
it is majority a tab game. However, there are abilities that do require positional, directional.
Like cone
shape stuff. And there's even abilities that, like a warrior, there's whirlwind. If you press whirlwind, it's gonna hit everybody in that vicinity. It's not just gonna, you don't have to target it. So like I said, World of Warcraft is, in my opinion, a tab enhanced game, but the majority of it, I would say about 85 to 90% of the abilities are tab, but there's like 10% of the abilities that are like directional or position.
Yeah, I guess any game where like your main weapon, like if you're shooting a bow or a regular spell, if all of those are tab targeting, that makes sense.
And you brought up a really good point, because the one huge thing that I think this game is going to be known for, even besides the naval system or the node system in general, is going to be the sieges. The 250 versus 250 sieges.
Possibly 500 versus 500, right?
Possibly.
Yeah,
but
possibly.
Again, you bring up latency and you bring up this hybrid action combat. If there's this even a fraction of a second kind of lag, or it feels unintuitive to do in that environment, a lot of the action players are still going to be upset, because they're trying to play action in a latent game or a latent server experience, because there's so many people on screen. While if you were like a ranger, right, and you're shooting a bow and you were in a tab, even if there is some latency, you're
still hitting your target.
You're still hitting your target, exactly. But it would really suck if you're there trying to aim and try to see people are just glitching like the Matrix, like all over the place. And so that's my number one fear. And again, all that could lead into people just writing negative reviews or saying, oh, this game's so terrible, it's the worst action-based game ever. But it's like, but it's not an action-based game, it's a hybrid.
Right.
You know, and that's what I guess my huge trepidation when it comes to the action side of that coin is. And not even to mention the whole healing factor, or being a healer, like especially the cleric. Like, I can't imagine what it would be like to just point my staff to heal somebody. That to me feels not fun and very like, I don't know. I don't like it. But okay, so let's move on to another subject, right?
Okay.
So we talked about the node system and how amazing that is. So I'll tell you this. So let me kind of go first. So my favorite system is the caravan system. The caravan system to me sounds like a shit ton of fun. Like, oh my God. Like, because in World of Warcraft, right, if you wanted to mail someone mats, or if you wanted to, hey, I need to send you some stuff so you can make me something, you just pop it in the mailbox and they'll get it. If they're in the same guild, they'll get it instantaneously. If they're not in the same guild, they'll get it within a couple of minutes or 20 minutes or whatever.
It's very convenient.
Very convenient.
Very convenient.
But in Ashes of Creation, however, the mailbox is not going to support you mailing any raw gatherables or goods. Meaning you have to actually like open up trade with somebody to give them mats, or if they're in another region, you have to like hoof it over there. Now, there are going to be mule mounts that you can actually attain in game that can hold 10 times more than what you can personally carry onto your personal storage. But if you are a hardcore gatherer, or if you belong to a really big guild like I do, and you have a shit ton of mats to freaking deliver, you're gonna need a caravan. And those caravan runs, that's what I think is gonna be some of the most prime streaming content. Because I think of people like, if Tim the Tapman and Asmongold were in the same server together, and Asmongold says, a little birdie just told me that Tim the Tapman's running a caravan to my region, and he thinks that he can get away with that, you know? And I just see this huge battle happening over a caravan, and this attacking and defending, and I don't know, like, I just love the Game of Thrones feel that Ashes is vibing off, because you don't know who you can trust. You don't know who's the little finger in your little internal roundtable people that you thought you trusted, right? And I think all of that is so awesome. It's intriguing. It's invigorating. It feels alive. And that's where I think a lot of games just feel so dead, because there isn't drama now is based off of like, oh, we killed this boss and you didn't give me that gear that I wanted. Oh, you gave it to the other guy that was a higher DPS and da 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 da. Like, that's the drama. It's kind of dumb at this point. But this drama is going to be way more weighted because, again, this risk versus reward that Steven has been touting. So what do you think in general about the caravan system?
I'm super excited for it. I think it definitely creates much more engagement with these rather simple tasks in other game. And it's just going to make everything that you do so much more importance. Everything has a purpose. I'm super excited for it, just like you. I think, like I said before, conveniences sound good, but I think in the long run, they take away a lot of the engagement, which made games so special. And having to actually ship your goods somewhere, like you said, you're going to have to meet people by doing that. People are going to attack it. Like, there's so much engagement that is being advertised for this game, and a lot of that's from the caravan system. And the roads are going to be changing. The road.
I know.
It's so exciting to think about.
The road architecture. I know that was such a small thing for people, and that was, I think, in the January live stream that they showcased that off.
Yep.
Oh my God, dude. That, like, and it's just, again, this dynamic world, this world building, ever-changing world that Steven and Intrepid is creating. I've just never seen a system like this. And of course, with Unreal Engine 5 doing its thing, which we haven't even talked about Unreal Engine 5. Like, so I'll start that off real quick. Okay. Holy God. Like, the fact that we're getting an MMO with a modern day engine.
I'm relieved. I'm very relieved, because I was worried before.
Well, just to say this real quick, because every developer would always say, oh, it's the limitations of our engine. It's the limitations and limitations. And so Steven and Intrepid have no excuse at this point, right? I mean, they have the most up-to-date modern engine out there. And so I guess, like, what did you think of, like, the updates of, like, the graphical fidelity, the atmosphere, the wind, the snow blowing, and all that?
Yeah.
What did you think of all that?
Obviously Ashes has a long way to go in terms of some of the graphics in the world, but I think after seeing that update with the lighting and the particle effects, you don't really see that in MMOs. So I'm just picturing this game whenever it comes out a couple years from now, and how amazing that will actually look. Very excited for it. I don't really understand the technicals behind the Unreal Engine 5, but to me, I'm relieved, because MMOs take so long to develop, and oftentimes we see them fade out because the time changes and they fall behind, and then they run out of resources to switch over to another engine. I'm very happy that Intrepid is switching over. Not only do I think it's going to give them more time to create the game they want without falling behind the times, but also it'll probably save them time according to how Unreal Engine works, at least from what people have told me.
Right. I mean, so with like the nanite technology and the lumen technology, like the fact that there's going to be sunsets and sunrises, the fact that there's going to be, he also talks about the skybox and how Intrepid really wants to utilize this skybox for like epic, you know, picture capture worthy scenes. And to me, I think of, I don't know, for some reason I think of Luke in episode 4 when he's out there in the desert and he's looking out and there's the 3 suns that are there. Do you remember that scene?
What show are you talking about?
Oh no, Star Wars episode 4.
Okay.
With Luke Skywalker.
I'm not a huge, I love Star Wars, but I don't know any details about it. It's just, wait, you talking The Mandalorian?
No.
What are you talking about?
StarArs episode 4, the first movie, A New Hope.
Oh, okay. So you're confusing me. As someone I was gonna get when worried. You say episode 4, I'm like, wait, is there another Star Wars TV show out?
No.
I totally get it now. I've watched all the Star Wars. I enjoy it. I just don't know all the details. So.
No, for sure.
I'm a Lord of the Rings fan.
All right. But it's like even Lord of the Rings, right? So you think of like some of the things that I think of Lord of the Rings, which is like almost like Greenland style, like fantasy stone, like Game of Thrones. So like you look at the Riverlands. Did you see that tweet that they posted of the Riverlands?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
the one with the dwarves in the background and stuff like that.
Actually, no. I'm bringing it up right now.
Okay, so Ashes of Creation posted on their Twitter, and I don't know if it was like a couple of days ago, but it was this, and I don't know if it was the Riverlands, but it looks like the Riverlands, at least to me. It's like there's this bridge, and then there's these statues
right now
of the Dunir in the background. And when I look at that, I'm like, yes, that's what I want to see. This is a fantasy MMO. I want to see more fantasy elements. I want to see more magical parts of Vera, because we've seen a lot of like really beautiful landscapes, but that landscape could literally be from somewhere here on Earth. Like it doesn't look magical to me, and I'm waiting to see these magical elements appear in Vera. So,
yeah, and Steven has or Intrepid, not just Steven, they have a way of they're trying not to go over the top, at the same time as keeping the game realistic, while also having some fantastical elements. I'm super excited for that. So I think a lot of the scenery that we're going to come across, like you said, is going to have a lot of elements. It's going to look very real, but then you're going to come across, like you said in this picture, you got that dwarven statue and these epic waterfalls. That's a really cool picture. I missed that one.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like there's going to be, in a lot of the concept photos, man, that they usually put out, like whether it's the newest updates or the cosmetics, like, and then you see the actual concept art, and then you see what they actually did in game. It almost looks like a 1-for-1. Their art
they're
team
doing great.
Is like on another freaking level.
The concept art is some of the best concept art I've seen for an MMO. Right. I love every picture that they post.
I mean, so it just gives me a lot of hope for, because I know they said they wanted to rebuild the Riverlands, or they wanted to redo it. I don't know. To me, I thought they had the majority of the biomes finished, at least in my opinion. I could be wrong, but maybe I think it's kind of like these passes that I think Steven went through, and he said, you know what, we can do better. And I think with the Unreal Engine 5, and now with the front end being, I would say, a little multiplicative in the sense where multiple people can work in the same area at the same time. I mean, I think to where a Riverlands update may have been a 6-month project, maybe now it's only a month project. I don't know.
You know what's crazy is during the last development update, Steven said that there's going to be 8 primary biomes in Alpha 2. Honestly, I was thinking Alpha 2 is just going to be like the tropical biome and a little bit further. I had no idea.
Oh no!
So dude. I'm so excited. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, he said originally he wanted it to be half the map, which was the entire Western continent. But I know there's going to be some portions of the Western continent we're probably not going to be able to see, but the majority of that continent, we are going to be able to go through a lot of those areas. And
That's awesome.
Because again, you need to do that if you want to test out something like the caravan system, if you want to go to other regions, how all of those systems are going to be interconnected. And going, I guess, speaking of the caravan systems, professions. Like, I want to talk professions for a little bit, because I've never really been a professions dude. In Baldur's Gate, is there professions?
Not really.
No.
No,
Okay.
professions are not as big in D&D in general.
Got you.
More like RP purposes, I guess you could say. There's not like a robust crafting system
Right.
in Dungeons and Dragons. So
Okay. So I guess my question to you is like, how are you when it comes to professions? Like whenever you play a game that there are professions there, whether it be New World, World of Warcraft, like what are you looking for in a profession system, and what would you want out of it?
honestly, I think you mentioned it. I think I'm like you, where most of my gaming career, I didn't care that much about professions. I was
Right.
always about being out in the world, adventuring, combat, PvP, and stuff like that.
Right.
With Ashes of Creation, I feel like I want to be a master of something,
Right.
and the shipbuilding is super interesting to me. Animal husbandry is something that I've been eyeing for a very long time now, and they talked about it a little bit in the last update.
Right.
I'm so excited to delve into a profession, which is rare for me because I usually don't care that much. Yeah. How about you? What do you think? What do you think you're going to delve into? Any idea?
Dude, I have no clue. Like,
It's too early to tell.
There's 18 professions,
Yeah.
and you're telling me you can only artisan or max out one? Like,
I love that. I love that they put that in the game because a lot of games are tailored to the solo experience where you don't have to rely on other players.
Right.
Sounds convenient, but makes for a dead game in the long run. So yeah, only being able to truly master one or a few of different areas is going to
Right.
require us players. I'm going to have to rely on you if you're on my server and you're the shipbuilder.
Right.
We're gonna have to reach out to you. You might be in another guild. We got to go through somebody else. You start working for my guild on the side.
Yeah.
It's so cool that the dynamics are.
And those guilds are existing. They exist right now,
Right.
actually. Like where they're
It's
just
so cool.
they're going to be the ones that they want to be known for building ships in that
Mhm.
server, and they're going to be kind of neutral. They're not going to be for or against anybody. But if you want to come to us and pay us for our services, we will build you the best ships. And if in return, if you can get us to where there are certain patterns that we can get for other ships to be built,
Mhm.
that'd be appreciated. Like all those things. Like I'm telling you, there's so many niche guilds that are being created already because they want to be known for a specific identity. And I think that is so amazing, because then when you see like a person in the world, right, and you're just questing or you're gathering or whatever, and you're like, holy shit, they're a part of that shipbuilding guild. Like I want to meet one of them because again, I might have an in to like get a better price,
Right.
or to help them out, or be a good person. I think there's just a lot of incentivization that Ashes already kind of produces, even with the game not even being out, in just building friendships, like
Mhm.
and feeling like I want to go out and meet this person. I want to befriend them. I want to get to know them, and because I have a service too, and maybe we can do this kind of barter and exchange.
Everybody's
between
going to
the two.
have a purpose, and
Yes.
that's it. Really matters in MMOs. I know it
Right.
sounds it sounds not narcissistic, but like everybody wants to have a purpose. Let's just make it clear. Everybody wants to be recognized and see their worth. And like you can think of like maybe you have guild members in your guild that are horrible at PvP, they're horrible at combat. Their whole life they played MMOs, nobody cares about them. But in
Right.
Ashes of Creation, maybe they've mastered animal husbandry, maybe they've mastered blacksmithing. And guess what? Other players are going to have to rely on them and appreciate their services. And that's something that a lot of MMOs lack.
Right. And so just to kind of break down, right? So I tried to read the wiki, and the wiki has so much information, especially when it comes to professions.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
But I feel the way Steven has explained it is that, and I don't want viewers to get confused, is yes, you're only going to be able to artisan one profession. That doesn't mean you are completely blocked off to other professions. You just won't be able to artisan those professions, because from what it seems like, it's going to be a talent point allotment pool,
Mhm.
and you only have so many talent points to allot into a profession. So if you want to go linear right into one artisan, you can do that. But if you want to be, let's say the artisan level is tier 5, let's just say,
Mhm.
you can spend a lot of your points to then be tier 5 in blacksmithing. But let's say you have 20 points left over. That only means you're going to be able to artisan, or not artisan, but you can go into another, like one other profession and only go up to tier 2.
Right.
So
So you're not completely helpless. But
right.
There's also, you can only be a true master in one thing, which is
Right.
kind of realistic too, because not many of us are true masters at multiple things in life. We have a
Exactly.
profession. Yeah.
But if you want to be a tier 4 in 3 professions, you can do that too. At least I think on paper you can probably, I could be wrong. But what I'm trying to say is, what I love about that kind of a system is that a lot of the barriers, right? The entry level stuff is going to be plentiful, which again, because of the self-feeding mechanism that Steven also talked about for professions, meaning that certain gatherables and stuff are going to be used for tier 1 are going to be consumed to go up to tier 2 and then consumed up to go to tier 3. It's this self-feeding mechanism that every single mat on Vera are all going to be useful. Like when it comes to a lot of other games, gillyweed is just useless. Like after you get to tier 2, you don't need gillyweed anymore. Yeah. It's just a useless freaking mat. And in Ashes, that's not going to be the case. So everything you're going to see around you as you're gathering, everything's going to be relevant. And I love that. I really do.
Yeah, me too.
So I guess let's talk about one other system that I think a lot of people are very excited about, which in my opinion is like the Naval System. I think the Naval System, there's not a lot of games that do a Naval System. So Lost Ark right now that I'm playing has a Naval System, but really it's just island hopping. So there are islands on the map, right, that you're going to, and you're just sailing to an island, and then you get off your boat, and then you do whatever mini game content.
Do you own the boat?
Yes, it's your boat, but you're just sailing. Like you're not doing anything. Like, and so I guess like, have you ever played an MMO where there's naval combat or naval content in general?
No, my extent of naval content is vanilla WoW and getting stuck with lag out in the middle of the ocean and everybody get naked and cannonballing off and then
I know, right? When all that stuff happened. I mean, dude, like, so really, like, me and you are basically at the same point then, right? Because like, I don't know what I even want from a naval system. In my mind, I think of there's like probably like little, like, or not little, but like octopuses that come out, or sea dragons that you need to like combat to like make your way to a certain point of interest or whatever the case is. There's going to be world boss creatures in the sea, like krakens and squid monsters, or whatever the case is, and I think that in itself is really awesome. There's also going to be actual combat between boats or ships, because if you're having a caravan shipped from one continent to the other, and another pirate ship sees, oh my god, like they have a shipment, let's go and kill them, there's going to be this whole like cannonballs or whatever the case is, Gatling guns, all shooting each other down. So what does that sound like? Do you think that's going to be feasible for Ashes of Creation?
If I don't know if we're ever going to talk about like what our hesitations are or worries about with the game are, but sometimes I'm a little bit worried about the naval system, because every time I listen to Steven talk, he just has a genius answer to everything. It's actually quite impressive.
I know.
And there's so many intricacies behind everything that he talks about that I'm always like, is that even going to be possible? So I do worry a little bit about the naval system, but I'm very excited. And I remember in a past stream, Steven was talking about maybe a ship is sailing under a rock overhang, and a bunch of players, or a different guild, is hiding up top, and they have gliding mounts, and then they all jump off and glide onto the ship and then take it over. That would be unbelievable fun and memories that you'll never forget. So very excited for the naval system. I like what they're talking about with it. Worried a little bit about things really panning out the way that they're supposed to, but optimistic at the same time.
Right.
Do you have any hesitations or any worries about Ashes of Creation?
Of course, dude. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about our worries and concerns a bit. I feel, and this is not really a concern I have for Intrepid, but this is more of a player concern. I feel a lot of people are trying to imprint their best MMO experience onto Ashes of Creation. And if Ashes of Creation does not replicate that, it's a terrible game. And I feel like I do that to a certain extent too, right? I think of World of Warcraft. I think of all my fond memories of World of Warcraft. And I think, man, it'd be cool if Ashes did that, right? Because it'd make me feel safe. It'd make me feel like my blanket covering over me, and it feels nice and comfortable. And but at the same time, Ashes has to be Ashes. It's not trying to be anything other than itself. And that's what it needs to do to succeed. And I don't know if the perception of players out there is really going to shift if it isn't what they envisioned, if it isn't what they wanted. And so that is a big concern of mine, is that because we need players to have this game succeed. If there's this large negative sentiment because it's not World of Warcraft, or it's not this, like, I don't know.
When I played World of Warcraft, I didn't really have a full understanding as to what an MMO is. So I went into that game. Obviously, there's things I didn't like and things that I liked, but I went in with a completely open mind and just experienced everything. And I hope that people can do that for Ashes too, because over the years we've been. I think you mentioned this when we were talking the other day. You mentioned that players have been conditioned to certain things, especially and we haven't had like a truly amazing MMO in a very long time. So I'm a little bit worried too in regards to how players are going to handle certain things. Are they going to give it a chance? Or are they just going to review bomb it? Be interesting to see how it plays out.
Well, so another concern of mine, and one thing we haven't really mentioned at all, is the 64 class system. Right. So yeah. So another one of my concerns is that there's really only 8 classes. And then of course you're going to, at level 25, you're going to choose your second archetype, which is then going to create your class, whether that's like a Templar, a Paladin, what is it? A Hawkeye, or I forget. There's so many of them, but you get my point. What I am fearful of is that these augment changes are going to feel like the same, but just with a different animation or a different color, or you know what I mean? Like you're not really getting a 64 classes. You're just getting a different variation of the same 8 classes. And that's, I guess, my fear, because I think of 2 classes off the top of my head that I really want to try. The Summoner and the probably the Fighter. I was gonna say tank, but I want to be a Templar, like a melee Templar. I think that would be like a Retribution Paladin, like from World of Warcraft. That's what I would love to do. And I just feel like the Summoner is going to just feel the same, whether you're a Necromancer, whether you're a what is it, the other parts of the Summoner. Like, so I guess for you, like, what do you feel like a little trepidatious about when it comes to the class system?
I'm worried a little bit about balance, of course. I think everybody should always be worried about balance. That's just very obvious to point out. In regards to what you said, I completely understand that, where you're coming from, but in some ways I look at that as a plus in a way. As long as the initial 8 classes are fleshed out well enough to really be diverse from each other and really stand their own role. Because if there's actually 64 different classes, how the hell is that ever going to be balanced? I don't know either. So like, I understand where you're coming from that, but at the same time, I hope initially that they really focus in on at least getting the primary 8 correct. And even if there's only minor altercations, I'm super excited for it though. Looking at the class chart, like it looks like so much fun, and there's so many different places you can go. I want to try Ranger Tank. That sounds pretty cool. Oh my God. Yeah. There's just a lot of different variations that I find to be really exciting, but because we haven't tested it and we haven't actually seen it, and that, again, it's that imprint of what our imaginations are doing. And it's the same kind of thing of what happens with book readers. They read a book and they make up their own world, their own characters, their own whatever. And then when they watch the movie, they're like, the book was better. And I feel like you didn't really give the movie a chance, because in your mind, you've built up this whole world in your head. And because the director didn't do that, you found yourself disappointed. And so I'm trying myself not to do that. I'm trying not to, I want to see it first for how it is, and then give constructive criticism on what it is and not what I want it to be. You know what I'm saying? That's really important. I wish there was more people that were like that. Well, because I know it's kind of an impossible task, right? I mean, I know, and coming from World of Warcraft, they've never been able to balance even 37 specs, and then let alone 64, right? That I'm sure Intrepid's going to try to do. And that's why, again, I think they could balance it, because if they're only worried about the first 8 archetypes, and if it's just it's a shift here, you can do charge with fire instead of charge with lightning, or charge with unstun when you get to your destination. Like, all these little tweaks and stuff, I don't know if that kind of variety is going to be good, or not good, satisfying to people. Like, actually experience it. So, because when I think of a class, I think of, this is going to be totally unique. And again, I think that's where I find a lot of trepidation, because the one visceral thing that you're going to be doing on day one is playing your class and doing the combat. That's what you're going to be doing a lot. So if those things aren't satisfying, we're already in a bad spot. It doesn't matter. And Intrepid defines class as as the choice you've made after you've chosen your second archetype.
Right.
So it feels like primary and secondary class, but the way that they're defining it is after you've chosen the first class, then you choose another one, and that's your class. So I understand where you're coming from with that, because if there's not any variety or true meaning to that, then what system are they really building off of here?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's again, like all this kind of trepidation, but even then, I still find myself super hopeful, because did you participate? You did participate in Alpha 1, correct? But
yes. Yep.
But the one thing that for me as a viewer in Alpha 1 was whenever there was this whole discussion happening between split body and root motion, a week later, they gave you guys the ability to not only choose, but toggle. Like you can toggle between root motion or split body, see what you like better. And then of course everybody likes split body better. And Trump is like, okay, thank you for your feedback. What the hell? Like, I wish we could have got that from Blizzard like so many times, but every time
you can't, because Blizzard and other big companies are just filled with they're giant corporations where I would imagine, I mean, I can't speak from facts, but I would imagine that a lot of not necessarily Blizzard, a lot of these companies, the higher ups probably don't play games, or maybe don't have a past in games, and they've come over from certain connections and all that. And with Ashes of Creation, you have Steven, who is a gamer. Whether or not he plays a lot now or not, I'm not sure, but he came from games. Yeah. You can just, when he speaks, you know it. I can't even imagine hearing like the CEO of Blizzard talk about, like, maybe I'm wrong with this, but I can't imagine hearing them talk passionately about their World of Warcraft experience.
Well, so it's kind of funny because the current CEO of Blizzard, I will give him this, his name's Mike Ibarra. And Mike Ibarra actually plays World of Warcraft. Okay.
So now, I'm gonna take it back.
J. Allen Brack, a CEO ago, which he literally was CEO, last January. It didn't get handed off to Mike Ibarra until the whole debacle happened of the sexual allegations and all that stuff happened. He stepped down. Mike Ibarra stepped in.
Who's Bobby Kotick then? Where's he fall?
Bobby Kotick is the CEO of Activision Blizzard, the entire
entity.
Okay. So Mike Ibarra is the CEO specifically of Blizzard Entertainment.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the CEO of Blizzard actually does play World of Warcraft, which he does high-end Mythic Plus dungeons. He does raiding. He's a very competitive person. But in my opinion, he should be the lead game designer, not the CEO. Because the lead game designer for World of Warcraft, which is Ian Hazzikostas, he should not be lead game designer anymore. He had his shot. He needs to be removed with someone actually competent that actually plays the game. Because in my mind,
even if you have somebody that's competent, they still have to answer to Blizzard Activision, and then you come into the revenue sharing and the investors, and it's not even possible. And it's so cool to see Steven be like the guy behind this, and he's, I don't know. It's one of the pluses.
No, I know, and that's why I don't play World of Warcraft anymore, because now I'm not stressed out with all that information. I don't care. So I look into Steven and I see a man who is setting out this super ambitious goal to make this amazing game, and I know everyone's excited, and I know everybody wants it right now. So I guess let's just wrap up our conversation real quick. So everyone is waiting for Alpha 2. That is the big thing right now, is when is Alpha 2? When, in your mind, Wolf, do you think we'll get Alpha 2?
Oh, I usually like to... I've learned my lesson in the past. So if I had to truly guess a date, I'm going to say, let's see, we're in March of 2022. I'm going to guess mid-2024. is going to be my guess. Mid to late 2024.
We're going to get Alpha 2, or we're going to get
the launch of the game, the official game. Mid 2024 for the official game. 2 years from now.
You're going to scare me real quick.
Alpha 2 and end of this year. That's what I'm guessing.
Okay. So in my mind, I've always pictured Alpha 2 being let's see, summer.
Okay. I would love that.
Because,
I would love that.
2021 summer, they had Alpha 1. I think internally, the roadmap has always been summer of 2022. Now, things could have elongated that process, like the conversion over to Unreal Engine 5, maybe some unknown factors that could have strayed that a little bit further to Q3, maybe even Q4. However, I think internally, summer always sounded the best, because really there's nothing coming out in the summer. I think all of the current huge MMO expansions for like Shadowlands just finished their last patch. Shadowbringers, Endwalker, I think their patch is about to come out soon. You have Guild Wars 2 that just launched their expansion. Star Wars: The Republic just launched their expansion. I think the only expansions launching in the summer is ESO. I mean, but no offense to the ESO players, ESO is not as big as, you know, any of those games, especially World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. So I think they would have the whole summer to dominate Twitch, because in Alpha 1, holy crap, did they dominate Twitch. They were the top game being streamed.
Steven knows the importance of that too, of the release time and the marketing behind it, which is obviously apparent in the people he's been interacting with. So Vlhadus is going with a 2022 summer Alpha 2.
Yeah, quote me.
All right. Wolfheart's going with a fall 2022.
Yeah.
How about the actual launch of the game?
Oh, okay. So this is, in my opinion, this is assuming everything goes smoothly, right? So if we get Alpha 2, let's say in June, I think we'll be in Alpha 2 for a full year, maybe a year and a couple of months. Then Beta
so
2023
summer right now.
Yeah, and then summer or Q3, we'll go through Beta 1 and Beta 2. Q4 will be the launch of Ashes of Creation.
All right.
If not Q1 of 2024. But I think that to me sounds correct, because I think a year of persistent testing, that's not been done in a lot of MMOs before. They really hasn't. They've done little sections of like, okay, test for 3 weeks, we're gonna shut down and bug fix or whatever, and then they're gonna do it again for 3 weeks, shut down, you know, so on.
Not to mention Intrepid is growing every month too. So
they're up to obviously they're up to about 130 developers from what they said last time.
It's pretty awesome that they're it's a good sign to see them continually hiring new employees.
I mean, it's nuts. Like I think, but again, even though I want that internally, don't rush it. You know, don't rush it. I mean, again, like I think they're gonna go. I think they kind of learned their lesson too with Alpha 1, because they like delayed Alpha 1 like 7 times. And I think from a player's perspective, that was very disheartening, because they thought, oh, we can't keep you at your word, you know. And then Steve would always try to say, like, you know, during development, you can never you always have to expect the unexpected. And
always.
When the unexpected happens, you have to course correct. You can't just say, oh, we're launching anyway with all these issues. You can't.
Dude, I think when regardless of all the delays, when the game comes out, the condition that it's in is the most important thing, and everybody forgets about the delays in the past. So I think I want them to get it right, take their time, and if it comes out in the right condition, nothing else matters. Everybody moves on, and we're playing Ashes of Creation.
That's right. Well, Wolf, do you have any final thoughts or anything that you want to discuss before we get off?
No, just very excited for Ashes, one of the few MMOs that I'm looking for. Actually, the only MMO that I'm looking forward to now that I stopped playing New World. There's nothing else out there. So that's it. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a very good conversation.
No, it was an absolute pleasure to talk to you, and like I said, like I am literally a fraction of a fraction. And the fact that you literally wanted to come and have this chat with me about Ashes, it made my day, man. Like seriously, like thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem at all.
All right,
we can do it again sometime in the future.
Awesome. Like I'll look forward to that for sure. But Wolf, thank you again for doing this. And guys, if you like this 1v1 chat, hit that like button. You know, give us a sub. You know, if you want to go ahead and follow my channel for future Ashes of Creation content or future 1v1s. I try to reach out to a lot of different Ashes of Creation content creators to see if they would want to have a open dialogue with me and talk about the game, what they're excited about, what they may be nervous about. So my name is Vlhadus with Vlhadus Gaming, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Goodbye.